Impression the game you get out with what you put into. It's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
But not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Shawnee Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea. He deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the left brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Hello and Falcher Road to episode 301 of Treaty Talk. Tom Clancy is joined as ever by Matt O'Callaghan of the Weekly Observer and Vale Star newspapers. We've plenty to discuss on this week's show. We have a review and indeed a preview of senior hurling. We'll look at Premier Intermediate and we'll look at various bits and pieces across the grades in hurling. We have plenty to discuss after a weekend of finals in ladies football, and we also will be taking a look at a weekend ahead of finals in Camogie. So plenty to cover in the next hour or so, and do stay tuned as we get through all of that. Matt, before we get to the ecstasy and the ups and downs of on the field action, unfortunately we've had a couple of sad bereavements across the county in recent days.
Yeah, I think from Treaty Talk, I would like to extend our deepest sympathy to the O'Brien family of Brewery. The O'Briens are on the death of Mike O'Brien, an iconic figure in Brewery GA circles for almost 3 decades. He was the Brewery goalkeeper, and he was goalkeeper behind his brother, the late Jim O'Brien, who was an All-Ireland winner. They were a legendary goalkeeper and fullback combination, and by God, you the big day's work done when you beat one of them, and beating 2 of them was virtually impossible. But he was a fantastic goalkeeper, and as I said, his career spanned over almost 3 decades, and won 3 South Senior hurling medals, played in 2 county senior hurling finals in 1978 and 1982 for his beloved Brewery. Unfortunately, he didn't win a county medal, and like when his career was over, he immersed himself in the running of the club and helping out with teams, and his advice was much sought after because he had a rather stellar career on the hurling field, and it was just unfortunate that he just didn't pick up those couple of senior medals, those couple of chances that they had in 78 and 82, and neither did his brother Jim. But I'd like to extend our sincere sympathy to all his family at this difficult time. He was laid to rest in his beloved Brewery this Wednesday, and a huge loss, and to the Brewery Club, and our sympathy to them as well. I would also like to extend a vote of sympathy to our very efficient county, GAAPRO Eamon Phelan, on the sad passing of his niece in the last 48 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I echo those, Matt, and to, I suppose, Eamon's family and indeed to the O'Brien family and all in Brewery, we extend our sympathies and we'll keep you in our thoughts in these challenging days. Okay, Matt, we will now turn to on the field action. We'll start with hurling. As I said, we've plenty to discuss in terms of Camogie and indeed ladies football and what's coming to the business end of their championships. But we're nearing the business end of the hurling championships across Limerick. Matt, we're down to the last 4. A very, very familiar 4 in the Bon Secours Hospital Limerick Senior Hurling Championship. Wins for Patrick Swell over Monaleen by 2 points, and the same margin of victory for Kilmallock over Ballybrown. So are we surprised we have the same 4 again?
We possibly were surprised, Tom, but as you will recall, we were discussing here last week when we were looking ahead to these games, that the whole concept of the 2 teams in Section B going forward to the quarterfinal was under scrutiny again, because it has only happened once, and that was in 2022 when South Liberties bucked the trend and beat Patrick Swell in a quarterfinal. But I honestly think that both Kilmallock and Patrick Swell you could almost say they got out of jail in the last weekend, and we were wondering, has the gap closed? And you would have to say, based on the results and based on the games, that it has, which is a welcome development. But it's back to the familiar four, and it'll be down to two at this weekend, and it's going to be a familiar it's going to be a familiar pairing, no matter who comes out of it. Because these four teams must be sick to the teeth of each other at this stage. And but look, there are two mouth-watering semi-finals in prospect. You start off with Bruff, and Bruff on Sunday with it's 1 o'clock start there, I think, for Patrickswell and Doon.
It's Kilmallock, Matt, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, Kilmallock. My apologies, Kilmallock. In Kilmallock, but they've already met this year, and Doon have won, and Doon, of course, as we know, have had 4 straight wins, and then they lost in round 5 to the dead rubber game to a hand. And one thing I would just wonder about and worry slightly about Doon is the break, and let's face it, Patrickswell got a tougher test than they expected, I would say, for Monaleen.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't tougher than I expected now, because I've seen Monaleen a couple of times, and I knew they weren't going to be a pushover for anybody. But they've got a real tough test, and they'd have a good championship game under their belt. The big three are back. The talk is that Jack Kelleher will be back for the semi-finals. So they are in a good position going into the penultimate round. Look, Doon are the team that have ticked all the boxes this year, Tom, so far. And I'm inclined to disregard the defeat to a hand, because Doon started out and they played 4 games, and they bagged the semi-final spot with a game to play, with a game to spare.
Yeah, did the group 1, yeah.
So, what the focus was on that final game, one doesn't know. But of course, the other side of the coin, and we said that Patrickswell having the advantage of a game, Doon are going to come in fresh.
Yeah.
It's a very quick turnover from a semi-final last Sunday to a final this Sunday. So whether knocks or whatever, they don't have much time to clear up. But I think this is going to be very, very close, very, very close, and it will be very, very interesting to see how Doon respond now that we're into the knockout, really meaty business into the competition.
Yeah.
But I've no doubt Derek McGrath will have a plan for Patrickswell. But I can see this one being extremely tight, Tom.
Yeah.
I can't see it being no other way. This one, dare I mention, extra time.
Yeah, just to look back on the weekend, I was at both games. Now I know you were at county finals in intermediate and senior ladies football, which as I said we'll come to. I was one of many people who hot-footed it between Bruff and McNeville Park. So the Bruff game obviously was the Patrickswell Monaleen game, and Monaleen will have regrets. I think it's fair to say. I don't have the total wide count. Was it 17? And look, sometimes the wide count can be misleading. Teams can read too much into it, but they hit some very poor wides, Matt, right down the stretch. But they also hit them in the first half when they played with, a stronger wind as you're likely to get in early October, playing to the clubhouse end in Bruff. And after all, they played some great stuff in the first half at times. After all that, they were a point down at half time. And, I think I've seen Conor Dolan's interview on our channel there, and the Patrickswell coach that is, and he was kind of happy that they went in. Jesus said they did a fair chunk of the job done at halftime. I think paraphrasing him now to say that, but they were very happy with their first half. Fairness to Patrickswell, they had 2 or 3 clear-cut goal chances that they didn't take, but Monaleen started the second half. First 5-6 minutes, 3 or 4 points unanswered, started to show they were up for this, started to believe. All their subs, their extended panel were alongside me, and they were really starting to feel that this was their day. But just coming down the stretch, the experience of Patrick Swell, I think, shone through in space. Mark Carmody, 2 points from the middle of the field. I think Dermot Burns chipped in with one. They worked down the clock, as it were, without taking the biscuit altogether. They did what they had to do. They didn't need to go hunting a goal to kill off Monaleen. They needed to just get their noses in front, be in front of the end line at the end, and Monaleen then chased the goal that wasn't going to come. And as I said, Monaleen, I think, will have regrets, because there's no guarantee they'll be in the quarterfinal next year. I think we would probably say they'll be in a strong position to do so. But as we know, it's their first quarterfinal. There's no guarantee of a second one coming anytime soon. So they'll feel that this was an opportunity maybe that just slipped slightly through the fingers,
Perhaps, but we raised the question when they were going into the second round about Monaleen, if you recall, Tom, in this medium.
Yeah.
No.
Lost in round one, yeah.
Yeah, having lost in round one. And we reflected on them winning the All-Ireland in 2022. We reflected on what was a solid consolidation year without being spectacular last year. And we felt that this was the year that they have to move on. And by God, in my opinion, they answered the question.
Yeah.
They did move on. And you nearly have to say that had they met Ballybrown at any other stage of the competition, other than in the first round, we would be talking perhaps about a different narrative.
They could have won, yeah. They could have been 5 from 5 potentially. Yeah, look,
and
they did this
5 from 5. But like we've said, that Mungret are relegated; they're going nowhere. But like a lot of the focus, it's 12 months' time, or nearly 12 months' time anyway. Next year we'll be on Section 2 or Group 2, because you'll have the like of Monaleen, you'll have the like of Mungret St. Paul's. You will have a dare. Don't. They're not going away at all. They're not going to make the same type of slip ups that they made this year.
Yeah.
So we're jumping ahead of ourselves now, but I think Monaleen have got a taste for it now, and I expect to see Monaleen back.
Yeah.
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose my overall point is there was no guarantee, and this maybe was the chance. But Donncha O'Donnell came off after 20 minutes, wasn't getting the service because of the wind. Maybe the ball was overshooting him, and they were shooting from distance. And he seemed to be carrying a bit of a knock. Certainly, when he went back on, that became apparent. And for one year, your marquee, he was the highest scoring player in the championship from play, but going into the game, and just he only managed a point, and I say only because we'd expected so much more from him because he's such a quality hurler, and just that's just something like that to go against you on a day like that is disheartening. They were also without Mark O'Dwyer for the season now, and
for the season, what an addition he is going to be when he comes back.
Yeah, and look, free taking, I wouldn't say it was a problem on Sunday, but certainly if Mark was there, they might have. Those numbers might have been slightly improved upon, and a very challenging win now. In fairness, Larkin Lines led in that regard for them from deep. But yeah, just a couple of little things didn't go their way on the day, and they'll maybe. But I think the best thing out of it is they'll know they're not far away, and they'll, because if they went in and lost that game by 15 points, it becomes a very long winter all of a sudden. I think And
it does, and they'll be gunning for next year, and they'll say to themselves, we've cracked it.
Yeah,
we've cracked this, Nelly.
We're there. Yeah, that's
We're there. We can do it.
That's it. And the fact they'd won 4 games in a row will augurs well for Group 2 for them next season. That they'll be, they'll be able to do that again or similar. The other game, Matt, Ballybrown bow out. We weren't sure their form. Now, I talk about Monaleen having regrets. I don't know, will Ballybrown have an awful lot? They did an awful lot right on the day, and I met a couple of their supporters and officials after, as you'd expect, and I don't think there was anyone pointing the finger at anyone or anything. They were kind of just, we got beaten by a classy enough team in Kilmallock, and they just didn't do enough, for a few minutes in the second half, and they were punished. I mean, 1-5, I think it was 1-4, to no score in the space of about 5 minutes, including Shane O'Brien's goal. But the fact that Kilmallock had to scramble, put on Conor Harnley-Clark, put on Oisin O'Reilly, who was carrying a bit of a knock, get those guys in there, they're talented men. Ballybrown had them at 6s and 7s for a spell, and then look, in fairness to Kilmallock, they do what they tend to do, and they found their purple patch, went into the lead, and didn't really look back. And a late Barry O'Connor goal made the last play interesting, but Shane O'Brien decided he wanted to end the game. He didn't want extra time. He pulled the puck out of the sky, and found a bit of space away from Colin Coughlin and put it over the bar. And just that bit of class that Kilmallock have was the difference. I mean, 1-5 from that player, from Shane O'Brien, 5 points from Conor Henry Clark, and as I said, Ballybrown did so much right. Brian Griffin got a great kicked goal. We don't see too many of them these days. They got their tactics right. They didn't give up goal opportunities that they did against Drummond at Lacka, and just ultimately sometimes you do a lot right, and you come up an inch or two short, and I think that's what happened here.
Yeah, well, Ballybrown can always play Kilmallock. We made that point last week.
Yeah. Historically, so yeah.
I saw Ballybrown this year, and I was hugely impressed with them. But I couldn't reconcile, Tom, the challenges and and the indifferent form that they showed in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
Whether they got it into their head, they had beaten Monleen and they had beaten Kilgarmo Palace Kinry, that was job done. But they made it difficult for themselves to win promotion.
Yeah.
They only won it on a head-to-head.
Yeah, they could have actually won it. They could have won it before the last round even was a thing, because if they'd beaten it there, that would have been job done. But as you say,
but they were well short of it there.
Yeah. No, they were. They were well beaten on the night. Yeah. Having raced into a lead, and even the game before that against South Liberties, they didn't leave much room for error in that one either. But I think this was probably the only. I was at 4 of their 5 games. 5 of their 6 games, and I think this was probably their best performance in a lot of ways. Defensively quite decent. Offensively did a lot right, and never let Kilmallock build up a lead that was insurmountable, and that augurs well for them next year, because obviously they're going into the bear pit next year, and they'll have to I suppose they'll have to pick up a result or two against the likes of Kilmallock or Patrickswell if they're to stay in that grade for next season. You would imagine, they'll obviously target maybe a Han, but
for the second half of the campaign, they have been dogged by injuries, Tom.
Yeah, well, some would say before the season championship started. And I'm not an apologist for them, but they were missing an entire half back line on Sunday. James Coughlin, Josh Adams, and Mikey Gavin. Yeah, that's an entire half back line of note. Guys that have been involved in Limerick panels of underage down the years. And then Stevie O'Reilly wasn't available at the weekend either, and someone who's very fairly formidable in that full back line. Things didn't go well for them, and then Josh Riley, the goalkeeper, got injured with 15 minutes to go at the weekend, and they had to spring Conor O'Neill. And of all positions to be coming in called, goalkeeper is not the one you want. You don't have time to find your range like you do out the field. They had their bumps in the road, but they've won promotion. That was probably the main target of this year.
That was target number 1,
Yeah.
And target number 2, of course, was to get to the semi-final, and they just barely came up short now. Where Kilmallock had me bamboozled, to be honest, this season.
Yes.
To know where they are actually. When we had the discussion at the start of the year, my tip was Kilmallock to win it. And I'm sticking with it. But I've less confidence.
Yes, yeah.
I need to see a vast improvement when they face the champions.
Yeah, and they played in the semi-final last year, having won the group. Maybe this year coming in with a real test like that might stand them, in good order for the Piercing Sunday, because they're going to need to find another gear, because this is a 3 in a row chasing the Piercing.
There's certain connections of Kilmallock, who don't like going directly to the semi-final. They have mentioned it to me on a number of occasions. When we go directly to the semi-final, we run aground.
Right, yeah. They get caught up in their own hysteria,
So, it'll be interesting, that game with the Piercing. I'm convinced anyway that we haven't seen the best of the Piercing yet this year.
Yeah,
but you can be damn sure that we will see it over the next 1 or 2 games.
Yeah. I think in the Piercing, to note, and I've said this to a lot of people who have met at games, they're chopping and changing their team in the group stages. They were looking at can we get through the group? can we build a squad? Can we get the young guys more minutes? Whether it be 20 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 60 minutes? Can we get lads back from injury and fit? They're coming to the boil, I would say, for this knockout stage, and obviously with the intent then of delivering a performance that will be unmatched against whoever, and obviously it's Kilmallock this Sunday, so this could be a cracker.
You'd have to say that they've done a damn good job in building a squad in the way that they have shaken the thing up, moved players around, and Shane O'Neill hasn't been slow in bringing players off and sending in guys to get minutes, as they're trying to find the formula, because let's face it, they've two, if they're to retain that title, they have two very tough games coming up.
Yeah, and as they saw last year,
Kilmallock now, will be still smarting from the semi-final of the final from 2 years ago. And they will be watching that Napier Street don't get the great start that they got in the first half in that game. So they'll be alert to it. But they've felt them in the group stage. They felt them in the group stage last year, but it was a total dead rubber.
Yeah.
It was one of those games that it didn't matter to either side. Both had qualified. But I think people are saying that it's going to be in the Piercy all the way. But I think Kilmallock will account for themselves very well on Sunday.
Yeah, and I think if they can get a fully fit Oisin O'Reilly, that will stand them
a very big plus.
Yeah,
a very big plus.
Now,
Paddy O'Brien got a knock as well last week, I think.
Only played it the first half, went off at half time. So a bit like Ballybrown had to rejig, But look, that's the nature of it when you're playing so many championship games, when we're long gone away from the shorter championships with straight knockout and all that. So that's the nature of it. So if we were to call him, Matt, how do you see these two going? So I'm going to call it first here, if you like. I see Doon just about having enough for Patrickswell. I think Patrickswell match up fairly well with them. I think the group game between them, bit false in terms of 6 points in it. Patrickswell were a lot better than that suggested. It was 4-14 for Doon and 20 points for Patrickswell. I think Patrickswell have steadied the ship at the back. So I think Doon will still have enough in the tank. If Adam English can continue that form, that'll go a long way. I'd say Doon by I think only 2 or 3 points. And then the other one I see Napier Street being a little bit more comfortable than that. I would probably say by 5 points or so. But it's difficult to know a team coming in cold versus a team who's had that test. That's always the thing with that. So how do you see it, Matt?
Yeah, I agree with you on Doon. I agree with you on Doon. I think that it'll be a real test of them. Patrickswell will really put it up to them, and I think it would be a very, very tight finish. And I think Doon by 2 points. Now, I'm a hostage to my prediction that Kilmallock will win the county on the other one.
Well, I said Patrickswell, and I've now revised it in terms of this game. I've said this Doon will knock them out. So,
but like when you make the prediction at the start of the year, you're making it on the basis that they beat everything that's put in front of them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stick with Kilmallock just to nick it.
We're hoping for a classic.
As I say, I'm a hostage to my pre-season prediction that Kilmallock would win the county.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see.
It would be wrong of me to digress at this stage.
Yeah, let's see what the two teams who are coming in, I'm going to say a little bit cold, having not played a really competitive game for about a month. Let's see what they bring anyway. That's the main thing there. Matt, I'm conscious now we have guests from the ladies football world joining us imminently, but before they do, or they're not quite with us just yet, to look at the Premier Intermediate now, we were in a very, very wet Kilfinnan Saturday. And maybe as many predicted, the 4 teams that were occupying the 4 positions in the grade continued to do so beyond the last round. We'll maybe just look at the bottom first. On the Piercy relegated, a brief note on that. As we've flagged in the last few weeks, really struggling for form, probably been ravaged a bit by their senior team, and found the going tough since even the middle point of last season's championship, and they're heading back.
The Piercy have suffered 12 defeats in a row, 5 last year and 7 this year in this competition. They won the first 2 rounds last year against Glenroe and Capamore, and haven't won since.
Yeah.
They've been so close and so competitive in so many of them, even as late as last Saturday, you know. They definitely deserve the tag of unlucky.
Mm.
You know, they went so near beating Newcastle West, the group leaders. I saw them against Effin that really pushed against Blackrock. Blackrock were too strong for them. Granabel and Gary were too strong for them. But they've Bruff. I saw that game with Bruff. They really put it up to Bruff, but they didn't wake up early enough. You know, they got a couple of late goals through Pownhill, and had they woken up a bit earlier and hadn't allowed Bruff go into an 8-point lead, you know, it could have been a different story. But you know, overall in balance that night, I thought Bruff were worthy winners. But yeah, I think they've been a shade unlucky now. You know, it came down eventually to the meeting of my own club, Glenroe and themselves. You know, and you know, I think Glenroe pulled out a performance. You know, a special performance, and you talk about A game and you talk about this and that, and I think they brought their A game to that game that night in McNeville Park, which saved their status, you know. So they had that. I can tell you, Glenroe are extremely happy, you know, that they will be in the hat for the Premier Intermediate next year. So, but you know, I feel sorry for the Piercek, and I can see where, you know, the difficulty. Like if you saw their original squad for the Premier Intermediate Championship, I think that the players that moved up, you know, were a huge loss, and I suppose it's one of the prices of the price to pay for, you know, success, you know, and but down they go, you know, and maybe they may not be too long down there.
Yeah, that's true. At the other end, so the semi-final pairings, you know, Bruff got that win over Effin, that the two sides still progressed. Newcastle West also, I suppose, had the group one despite losing in the last round. So it's going to be Newcastle West against Effin and Bruff against Gary Spillane. Gary Spillane made sure as well with a win on Saturday. So that's
actually I saw those two pairings in the championship, in the group phase of the championship, and I saw Newcastle West and Effin. That was only about 3 weeks ago in Kevin Long Park in Fina.
Yeah,
and you know, it was touch and go until Newcastle West got a couple of late goals. And I saw the other one between Bruff and Gary Spillane, and Gary Spillane won it by 13 points. But I don't think the most ardent Gary Spillane supporter would say that it was a 13-point game. Far from it. And I thought we saw something about Bruff last week, Tom, last Saturday. I think we were even saying it, but they've moved around their team quite a bit now. They've restored Sean Finn to centre back now. He went off at half time with a knock, and let's hope that Sean will be okay, because for Saturday you want to see all your best players out on the field. Certainly, and Josh Keating likewise, who took a knock immediately after half time. But it was an inspirational switch to bring Owen Meany to midfield, I think. You know,
he'd previously been playing further back.
Cornerback. And he seems to be forming a solid partnership with Gavin Bracken. You know, which is a big plus. And like, he's striking, Tom. You saw it, sure. He's striking in extremely difficult circumstances last week. Was simply phenomenal.
Yeah.
plus chipping in with a couple of points play. Sure, one of them was off the charts, Tom.
Yeah, I know it was. And I tell you, we were struggling in the stand to keep our notes. But to tell you, he was doing something otherworldly out in that field, and it was raining cats and dogs, as they say, for that one. Yeah, but look, we're down to the semi-final, so I'll get you briefly, Matt, to call these. I know we've to talk plenty now in terms of ladies football and Camogie. So how are you seeing these two going? I'd be probably leaning towards the bouncers, i.e. Gary Spillane winning their one, and I think maybe Newcastle West will reasset themselves after that defeat. That's my verdict on it. But how do you see it?
I see it similar, but by God, both of them will learn it.
Yeah, okay.
By
But
God, both
hopefully,
of them will learn it. But of course, Gareth Spillane will be reading absolutely nothing into that 13-point win.
no,
No,
2 or 3
that
late
13
goals, isn't it? Blew it away, yeah.
That 13-point win came when they rejigged their side, and the main rejigging they did was they made a direct swap between Matt Quinlan at midfield to centre back and Dylan O'Shea going in the opposite direction.
Right, yeah, okay.
You know,
They found the formula that night, but they'll be hoping to find it again in
and
Kilmallock.
Mark is having a fantastic season. You know, and Dylan is playing out of his skin and having a fantastic year with Galway intermediate footballers as well. But I'm inclined to lean in with what you say.
Okay.
Newcastle West. If there's to be an upset, it'll come in the first game, I would say.
Okay, yeah. Effin will hope to upset that one a bit. Okay, that's plenty of hurling. A reminder, the other grades are taking place this weekend. The intermediate, the regular intermediate, as it were, the Premier Junior A, the Junior A, with some Junior B quarter-final action over the weekend. But we've discussed plenty in hurling. Also to mention, the first county title in hurling last weekend, went the way of Hospital Herbertstown, winning the Junior C crown, defeating Monaleen.
And congratulations to Hospital Herbertstown. By God, looking at the team sheet, there were a lot of lads on that team who've given fantastic service to Hospital Herbertstown.
Right, and they're not done yet. Okay,
Yeah.
Let's talk.
And Dalwell would be absolutely delighted. Congratulations, Dal. I met him on Friday night, and he was all agog for it, and I haven't seen him since. But Dal, congratulations.
I'm sure he's still celebrating somewhere. Right, we're going to talk ladies football. We're going to be joined right now by Sheila Moynihan and Niamh Ryan. So we'll just bring those ladies in. Ladies, how are you? Technical difficulties out of the way, I hope.
How are you, girls?
We're good, Matt.
Good to see you again after last Sunday.
Yeah, still in good form.
If we didn't know the smile on your faces tells it all.
Yeah, so viewers and listeners who, if maybe unaware, St. Ailbe's annexed the ladies' senior football title against Ballylanders. Matt's Ballylanders, will remind him, last Sunday in Cappamore. No need, yeah. Well, we'll get every dig we can in around here, you know. So, ladies, a fine win in Cappamore. Thankfully, the sun was shining, and you collected that silverware. That I think you'd been chasing for a little bit of a while with that Mona Gay. Mona Gay and Ballylanders, in fairness, have been there and thereabouts with you for the last few years.
Yeah, no, definitely delighted to get over the line this time. It's taken us a few attempts, so I think there's definitely plenty of relief there at the final whistle on Sunday. Definitely frustration from the last 3 years came into it, so yeah, buzzing with the win, to be fair.
Yeah, and Sheila, the manager's bib, it fits nicely by the sounds of it anyway. No stopping you now. We're going to keep this going.
He doesn't wear the bib.
I suppose I was coaching for the last 5 years, so it's nearly easy to be the manager, to be honest. Not as busy,
Is it a dictatorship, or how do you manage it?
Oh no, absolutely not a dictatorship anyway. A lot of delegation.
Yeah, very good. For anyone unaware of the club, obviously you draw mainly out of the kind of the Ballybrickin area, but I believe some of your neighbouring clubs who maybe don't line out in football and neighbouring areas lend some talented players to you too as well.
Yeah, we're kind of around the South East, Ballybrickin, Caroline would be the main area.
Yeah. The game itself. Go on, Matt.
Sorry, I was talking to you after the game, as you will call, but I just ask you the question again for just for our viewers. Like the stat that Ballylanders got, they'd a goal and a point up in less than 3 minutes. You know, there wasn't a sign of panic on your part, despite the fact that Ballylanders got that great start playing with it was a fresh breeze. Let's face it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, look, I suppose they kind of had the 1-1 scored, and there was maybe 3 minutes on the board, and I don't know if we even knew the match started the way we started it. But I suppose once we got into our rhythm and got going, I think we tacked on 5 or 6 in a row, and I suppose even thinking about it now, like against Monaghan, we conceded 2-1 in probably 90 seconds, and we came back from that too. So I suppose maybe that bit of experience, we have an awful lot of experience of the team, so they showed great composure. We're sure, we knew we had plenty of time to we just need to relax into our rhythm, kind of get our structure right. We were kind of maybe our structure was a little bit off for that couple of 5 minutes, and just once we sorted that out and got going, then we were all right.
Niamh, talk to me, apart from the game, talk to me about the occasion. I think it was an absolutely memorable occasion.
Yeah, certainly a memorable occasion. I think Capmore was a brilliant venue. You know, there was no doubt there was massive crowd there for both the intermediate finals and the senior finals, and that definitely added hugely to the atmosphere on the day. And I suppose bringing in some of the underage to play at halftime and things, you had a nice blend to the whole experience. So scenes at the final whistle probably reflected that too. So yeah, very, very, very enjoyable day for everyone involved.
Tom?
Yeah. You mentioned the intermediate final, and in fairness to the ladies, the Limerick ladies football, they also brought in the youngsters. I think of all, I'd be right in saying all 4 clubs.
Yeah.
How important is that for young girls? Because in fairness, male underage players, they probably have, there's so many platforms for them to see their idols. But how important is it for young girls to see, you know, there's a platform? If I play for St. Ailbe's under 8s, you know, they might look at you as gods or goddesses, as it were, at the top. But how important is it for them to actually see there's a pathway the whole way through with, you know, with the same colours in the same club?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose definitely very, very important. And I think, you know, we're very lucky in our club that we're coming onto the field more often than not when the underage girls are coming off the field. And I think it's so important to show that, you know, there's so much to be achieved, and that there's so much there and so many opportunities there for young girls now compared to maybe when I was playing under 8s, 10s or 12s. And for them to feel like they're part of a big occasion definitely adds to their playing experience and the enjoyment levels. So yeah, I suppose on a day like county final day, it's great that the county board can take opportunity there to give the underage girls a chance of feeling the big occasion, if you like. So yeah, definitely hats off to them for that.
Yeah, and I'm sure a few of them will be, before long they'll be joining you, the adult teams. So it'll blink and you'll miss it, that kind of thing. Sheila and Matt, I should say Matt and myself have discussed plenty about the championship format, and now you're maybe not a player, but certainly a manager. Like, the formats across the grades, certainly we're leaning towards it, is very much a positive for Limerick ladies football. I would say, from the point of view even for both club and county teams, we want teams to play a lot of championship matches. We want some of them to mean a lot. We want maybe some of them to be an opportunity to use their panels, because, you know, we don't want straight knockout here, because it doesn't suit players. We want participation levels up across the grades. We want players involved. So how did you find it this year, and do you think it should be certainly kept for the foreseeable anyway, or how do you land on it?
Yeah, we were actually talking about it yesterday. Like, we'd be very much a dual club. So we're playing junior A Camogie as well, and like, I think the weekend was either our 10th or 11th on the row. But like we were saying, we'd much rather the week on, like, just it's every weekend, rather than, I know down in Cork, I think you do Saturday Camogie, Sunday football, and you're playing twice in a weekend. So we'd very much be in favour of the way they are working it, and they do deserve an awful lot of credit, because it's definitely not easy to roll it that way. Like, there's been very little changes to the fixtures, which is a huge help as well in terms of girls at work and all that kind of stuff. It's very rigid and it's structured. I suppose, look, the round games, like, there's pros and cons to it. Like, there wasn't a whole pile, I suppose, riding on those games either, because everyone was in a quarter final regardless of what happened. You were kind of only really fighting for, I suppose, a home quarter final. Like, we definitely used a good bit of our panel, like, between league and championship. I think we had 31, 32 girls that played. We're definitely looking at the younger girls as well, trying to get them experience. So the 3 round games really help with that. And then once you go into your quarterfinals, semi-finals, you're into the real nitty gritty, I suppose. But we had gotten plenty of exposure into the girls in those 3 games, so we'd definitely be fans of the way it is at the moment, anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing for younger players, because, you know, not that you wouldn't trust a 16, 17, 18-year-old, but, you know, you might say it will go with the experience head here, but if it doesn't, the game doesn't have an overriding, you know, knockout element to it, then I think there's merit in that. Yeah. Sheila, I think you tweeted a photo the other day. I'm going to share it here now for anyone watching. You might tell us the background here to this. And I see initials EMCG on the left there. A fallen comrade of yours, I believe, if I can put it that way. Someone you haven't forgotten in your club at all.
Yeah. So Emma Maguire, I suppose, was a member of our club for many, many years, and unfortunately she passed away from cancer last March. So she would have been traditionally would have been our full back. So we don't play with number 3 anymore. She was actually buried in that jersey. So we have that number 3 sign, I suppose, that we bring to all our games with us. It was actually me who had the idea of putting her initials on the sleeve, which is a lovely touch. I suppose, Joe, it's kind of difficult because you don't want to, I suppose there's a lot of emotions around it anyway, and so you don't want to be overdoing it. So it's just kind of a nice little touch that we always think of her, but we might not always talk about her, I suppose, in the dressing room, but we are always thinking of her. And I suppose there was a lot of emotion on Sunday too that I suppose that we could get over the line for. And Joanne, her sister, actually went into fullback, which wasn't easy either. So yeah, look, it was a nice touch, and I suppose it was the best way we could honour her memory was by winning that cup Sunday.
Yeah. So the initials are on each jersey.
Each jersey,
yeah. It's fantastic. Yeah, lovely little gesture. And as you say, it's not, I suppose, maybe not overbearing. It's nice and subtle, and a gentle reminder of going out into the pitch, or that
yeah,
she's
and we have that frame. We bring it to all our matches as well. It doesn't matter if it's challenge match, league match, whatever it is. We just put it in the corner, and anyone who wants to look at it. If you're not able, it's there, and you kind of, I suppose, work away.
Yeah, very good.
On that very point, I would like to congratulate Niamh there on absolutely those lovely words, emotional words that you said about Emma Maguire. I thought on the day they were so fitting to the occasion. I would say to you, well done. It was very, very nice. And I did hear murmurs in the crowd about it afterwards, all very positive and moved by it. And I think on occasions like this, it is fantastic to think of people like this that have gone before us. But I want to switch back just briefly to the structures of them. And we basically spoke about the structures in the senior championship, which you addressed, Sheila. But I think the structures in the whole championship has been very, very good, because we have a good few, thank God, we have a good few new clubs popping up, and we have clubs making progress. Palace Green are in the Junior A final against Mona Lee, and it's not too long ago since they started up. But I think the structure lends itself to it. And may I go down to the very root now when I say I think that the B Championship, and they'll say he gone off his head talking about the B Championship, but it's a wonderful breeding ground for clubs that are starting off. You have got your opportunity there with your B, your C, and your novice. I think the structure is fantastic. I'm quite happy with the structure of the senior, even though there is no knockout element to the group phase, and the same goes for intermediate. I just think that the structure that Limerick LGFA have come up with, I think it's a very, very good one. What are your thoughts on it, Niamh?
Yeah, I suppose it's an interesting observation from yourself there. I suppose having the number of competitions that they have gives so many very realistic and very achievable opportunities. And I think that keeps girls playing, when you know that there's a realistic chance of a little bit of silverware, you're that bit more motivated. Maybe there's more attendance at training, and there's a bit more of a drive there from girls. And that goes into every single grade, whether you're playing senior club football or you're going right down to the novice level there. We're teaching here in Laurel Hill, and even just talking to other girls involved in other clubs, every time they go out, they think they have a great chance. And by having that number of competitions and the structure the way they do, I think it adds to it and ensures that everyone is getting a fair shot at something anyway.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, can we move to Camogie now, because I know we're predominantly the LGFA with G here today, but Niamh, you moved clubs. I know I don't want to say there's a big transfer story of the winter or anything like that, but I suppose you're a native, I believe, of the Ballybricken direction, but you would have previously lined out for Bruff for, I'd say, your entire Camogie career. Am I correct in saying?
Yeah, I suppose when I first started out playing Camogie, there was no Camogie club in St. Ailbe's, and as a result of that, Helen Clifford there was going training teams up in Bruff, and she's a neighbour of ours, so that's how I ended up in Bruff. And I've had an incredible few years up there and plenty of success too, along with lifelong friends and all of that, and I've enjoyed every second of it. But I suppose time is pushing on my own side too, but once St. Ailbe set up a Camogie club, you always want to come home and play with your home club and girls that you've grown up with as well. And the opportunity kind of came about, and I said, I'd love to go back and play with St. Ailbe's. I'm only living a mile from the field, so from a logistical point of view, it makes total sense too. And I think, you talk about, we played 10 weeks in a row there. It's probably a little bit easier to balance being a dual player when you're playing both within the one club, and everyone's kind of singing off the same hymn sheet rather. So delighted to be back playing with St. Ailbe's. As I said, Bruff have been fantastic to me, and plenty of memories. But yeah, definitely delighted to be playing back at home. So.
Yeah, so you're saving a fortune on petrol diesel, but it sounds of it. So that brings me on to the next thing. I think you're still in the mix in the junior A championship, I believe. Heading into what is a Camogie weekend. So you're hoping to do a double anyway. Is that certainly at this point anyway?
Give us a chance to recover from Sunday. We're playing back rock.
Sheila, you've divided loyalties now.
Me?
You've divided loyalties. You're a forward, a hand goalkeeper, an All-Ireland winning goalkeeper, of course.
I know, but sure, same as you, sure, once we started at home, it's very hard not to go back to Paulie McCarthy,
I know.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Is she still going? Actually, we haven't.
Still fine fish.
Yeah, there'll be no stopping her. Yeah. So you're in junior A now. Look, I know that is a little bit behind the other championships. And I can ask you maybe a little bit more neutrals. I know Matt's saying you'll be completely biased here now, Sheila, but as you technically are neutral in my eyes anyway. The senior final this weekend, Ahan and Newcastle West, they're heading for Cappamore again. And in fairness to Cappamore, they've opened the gates again and letting the Camogie in and all the rest of it. This should be a thriller, I think, of a Camogie final. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. Like, you'll have two evenly matched teams, two really experienced teams as well that have been in lots of county finals. And Joe obviously was saying the county finals take on a life of their own, which they do. But you'd imagine that both teams will be experienced enough to handle that side of it. So it's going to be very hard to call it. Another play in the group stages, all right. Newcastle West came away with a win, but I think were they both through when they played? I think. So you wouldn't know if that'll have much of a bearing on Saturday.
Yeah, and go on. Sorry, Matt, you were going to come in.
I was just going to say, I'm going to address it towards Neve actually. Are any one of you girls? When I was writing the preview for the paper for the intermediate final, I had to pinch myself a couple of times to accept and believe that Granabel and Gary were playing intermediate Camogie. They have been such a success. They're the fallen giants of Limerick Camogie, but they're still standing on Sunday.
Yeah, and like they're doing savage work underage as well. I think they've really good 14, 16 teams there as well. So I have no doubt that they will be back up senior in the not too distant future, I would say.
Yeah, and of course, Croke Kilfinney have lost the last two. So, like their hurlers are trying to get to the final for a fourth year in a row, and they've lost the previous three. And I'd say the Croke Kilfinney Camogie would be trying to shy away from emulating that record anyway.
Absolutely, should we were to save ourselves on Sunday? Like, you kind of just get to a stage where you can't be beaten again. So yeah, and Croker, Feinside, I've seen him a few times. They're very good.
Yeah, and to have the games as double headers now. I know the McNeville Park was originally mooted as the venue, and I know previously we've had the Gaelic grounds for double header. Do you think the double header works now? I know some people on the male side of the house, when there's double headers for certain games, maybe don't buy into it. But do you think the Camogie, as we've seen the LGFA, you seem to think it works, but I think it works for the Camogie as well, because maybe everyone is really pulling in the same direction to try and rise the platform for the game and rise the interest levels. And do you think that works, the double header for the two finals?
Yeah, I think I'd definitely be in favour of a double header. Obviously neutrals this weekend, but from like my own personal interest, you're going and you're guaranteed to get two very good games on the day and see some brilliant Camogie. And again, going back to Cappamore last weekend, they've been a brilliant venue for the ladies football, and I'm sure it'll be the same again for the Camogie. And in a venue like Cappamore, you can create incredible atmosphere, and the crowd's on top of the field, and it really does add to that kind of final feel, if you like. So I think it is the way to go, and I think having the two games on the one day definitely adds to the positivity around the game. So I'm sure it'll be the same this weekend.
Yeah, and Limerick Camogie have moved to try and avoid the logistical problem that was there last weekend with traffic and like there was such a crowd there. Some of the Ballylanders players, and I'm not into excuse mode now or anything, but
Sounds very like it.
my nan is laughing at me. But no, seriously, they had to walk from the town down. You know.
Yeah, a few bars were late.
You weren't alone, Matt.
I think even Ryan drove through a ditch or something to get in, so there was plenty of issues.
Yeah, look, it's a great situation to see. Now I've been at 4 or 5 games this year, and I have to say the popularity of ladies football, from a spectator point of view, is growing.
Yeah, because when I came in to Camogie on Sunday, like there was a queue to get into the intermediate game, which like you'd never really see it. It was actually, I'm sure people in the queue weren't too happy, but like it was great to see. And there was a massive crowd, like there was a huge crowd at the intermediate final as well.
There was, and a lot of them vacated the place afterwards and didn't think that there was a bigger crowd for the senior game.
Yeah.
You know, but there was a question you kind of dodged me on Sunday, that you dodged me, but you're not dodging me now. Are you laughing, Brave Dave? What about the Munster Championship?
What do you mean about it?
Here she goes again, you know.
You're going to give it a go, basically.
Any idea who you're playing yet?
Yes, we're playing Nadesha down in Waterford on Sunday the 20th. It actually fits in nicely into our Camogie schedule. Thank God there's no clash. So we Blackrock in the Camogie this Sunday, and then it's Munster Club the following Sunday, and then we've come to semi-final in Camogie the Sunday after that. So we've definitely another 3 Sundays to go now.
Yeah, what do you know about Nadesha?
I know they played Gaelty Gales last year, so they won Waterford Junior last year. And they played Gaelty Gales in Gaelty Gales last year, and I think they beat them by 5 or 6 points, I think.
That's right.
Yeah, and I believe they have 2 Waterford Camogie players. I think they have Mairead O'Brien and Lorraine Bray, I think.
Mairead O'Brien, is it?
Yeah, and Lorraine Bray.
Oh, Lorraine Bray, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Well,
in fairness,
how do you feel about the Munster Championship, Niamh?
Yeah, look at, I suppose all eyes are always on trying to win a county final, so it's only in the last day or two that you're kind of getting focused on that now, and definitely looking forward to it. I suppose we've played in a few Munster Championships going back over the last kind of 10 years or so we definitely will be giving that a good rattle and going down to Waterford with all guns blazing.
But it has to be the next step in your progression at this stage. Is to have a right.
When you look at how well Mona Gave represented Limerick as well, like you are representing the county, like, and that is a huge honour as well. So we definitely will be putting the shoulder to the wheel anyway, to get through that game down in Waterford. Yeah, and we are looking forward to it as well. Like in 2020 when we last won it, it was cancelled due to COVID, so we didn't actually get to play in it, which was a pity. So yeah, no, we're.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of novelty to it as well, because you get to know everyone around Limerick. You know Ballylanders very well. You know Monaghan, etc. You get to actually play someone fresh and someone new, and obviously, an old trip on the bus and all that goes with it is a welcome one, I'm sure, as well. It's not quite on the bank holiday weekend, though, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's weekend before.
No foresight there from the Munster LGFA. Can I ask you just finally, I think for me anyway, the just talking about ladies football, Camogie, it was always said to me, and I know from maybe keeping track of my own sister playing both codes as well, it's always said to me that ladies start maybe, and even the rules allow it now, is that they start maybe with their clubs and with their counties that bit earlier, 16, 17, they kind of can play senior and all the rest of it. But maybe sometimes they kind of, wouldn't say burn out, but they might finish earlier too. And I know there's obviously other reasons for that too, like career and family and all the rest of it. But what sort of age profile and are you seeing? I'll have to put it to you, Sheila, around the place. Or is there young girls? Are they staying in the game? Because that's 16 to maybe 18, and I know you're involved in schools as well. Like, so that's the age where there's probably a huge drop off, certainly statistically. But what are you seeing around the place on that anyway?
Yeah, well, I suppose we're the right club, and we've everything from 16 to 64, so we're fairly retained. So yeah, look, we're doing an awful lot of work. I suppose down in the underage as well, and like Niamh and Emer Ryan and Rebecca Barry are involved in coaching kind of around that. And Brina Donnelly with the 16 minors, and we're really trying to create that link early. I suppose with the adult panels, we have a junior team as well. So we're doing a lot of work to try and keep the girls playing as much as we can. Like we do provide for them in both Camogie and football, and we do encourage them to try and play both. And we do live in harmony, thank God, and that we both sing off the same hymn sheet, which is good too. And it's just trying to encourage the girls to get them as much game time as possible as we can. And again, we have the 2 adult teams, which really helps with that. And I know for the fixtures committees in both Camogie and ladies football, like the minor championship is something that's really hard to fix, because a lot of girls at that age, kind of, as you said, they're 16 to 19, are playing with their adult teams. So it's hard to run the minor championship then in line with the adult teams. And even now, we're probably going to come into a few difficulties where I think the 19s football championship is starting soon, and we're going to be a Munster club. And then I think the Camogie has gone with kind of a blitz format, but like we're looking at all the same girls playing around that age group, so they're getting loads of games, which is good. With 2 adult Camogie teams as well to add into the mix. But yeah, it's just all about providing opportunities, I suppose, exposing them to good coaching, providing them with a good experience, and just trying to keep them involved in the game.
That's, but Niamh, that those ages we mentioned there, 16 to maybe 18 or 19, like in any sport, male or female, like if you lose players, a player at 16 or 17, the likelihood, I think, certainly from anecdotal experience, the likelihood of them coming back is slim enough, I'd say. So it's very important that you, as Sheila mentioned, you have an enjoyable platform, you have plenty of games, you have a platform for them, whether it's the junior team or the senior team or the underage teams. It's so important, I guess, to continue their progression, because you break it there, it could be gone forever, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, huge work, as Sheila said, has gone in the last couple of years to make sure that we're transferring, those girls that are 16, 17, 18 through to the senior team, and, clubs that are providing kind of 2 teams, whether it's a senior team and a junior A team or whatever it might be, definitely helps with that. And as you say there, you're trying to strike the right balance of enjoyment and competition. And, we'd be encouraging all our younger girls, put your hand up, have a go at trying to train with the senior team and have a right cut off it. And that's what happened this year with us. Those girls that won that minor championship last year, they've come in and they've pushed the older girls and really made it nice and competitive. And that's a big reason why we've had success this year. So yeah, striking the balance between enjoyment and competition is definitely the biggest challenge, but a lot of clubs definitely getting it right at the moment.
Yeah. The last one from me, Tom, and it's something I'm absolutely adamant about, is there I mentioned the word integration.
Okay, another hour. The podcast is another hour.
No. I'm hearing that it is stalling, and as far as I'm concerned, it cannot come fast enough. Ladies football and Camogie deserve equal treatment within the GA family. They're not getting it at the moment. Ladies, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, look, we kind of consider ourselves maybe kind of a unique club in that we are ladies football and Camogie. Like, we've got the one executive that serves the both. So in a way, I suppose we've kind of done a bit of integration ourselves in that everything is very much Camogie and ladies football. In fairness to the GA clubs around us, they've been exceptionally good to us. Like Ballybricken, we used their main field to train in it. Liberties gave us use of their gym earlier in the year, like, no questions asked. So like, we are very fortunate. Like, ultimately we depend on them for facilities. So we are lucky that like, we've used the Camogie community field for our entire club 6 days a week, which is probably also unique. Look, I know there was difficulties in terms of venues for finals, which I suppose isn't ideal, but ultimately we don't own the pitches. So that would be my concern with integration. I'm all for integration, and I agree that it can't come fast enough, but like, with integration, they're going to need so many new pitches, I think. Where they're going to put them?
Yeah, but so what? The sport is growing.
Yeah.
And I have seen clubs where integration has taken place at club level, and has been done, so has happened very, very satisfactorily, and for the most part seamlessly.
Yeah. Well, there
are a number of clubs in this county that have a paragon for that, Sheila.
Yeah, it just can't be a token gesture. Like, it has to be a proper integration. Like, Joe, you kind of be looking, Joe, the issues with the IRFU there a couple of years ago. Like, they're obviously one organisation, but obviously the females were being treated as well. So like, you just want to avoid that at all costs and make sure that it's done equally, I suppose, is the aim.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, and I think Capamore are probably one club that have the one club policy, and I think it's reflected in their I suppose opening, as I said, already opening the field up for those finals. They didn't hesitate, even with the impending bad weather that we had last weekend. Okay, Sheila, Niamh, I think we've covered plenty there. Thanks very much for your time. Congratulations once again on the success. I will say I hope you don't win the Camogie, and that my own club Ballybrown can sneak that one eventually. But I sincerely wish you the best anyway on the Munster club, and for the rest of the season with all the grades there, especially the underage. Hopefully that'll the under 18s and 19s and all that'll keep going, and it'll keep the flame of St. Ailbe's burning brightly into the winter. Okay.
Congratulations.
Thanks to the two of you as well for all the coverage.
And the very best of luck going forward in both the Munster Championship and in the Junior A Camogie Championship, Tom.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, we'll see how that one shakes out. Right, ladies, thanks a million.
Can we just say thanks to the two of you as well, though, for all the coverage with the
it is mainly Matt that leads in that, in fairness.
There's nobody listening to it. No, but seriously, generally, if we're looking for results or anything at the weekend, it'll be one of the two of your Twitters that we'll be looking at. And Joe, it's really appreciated. Visibility is very important, and the two of you are leading the way for us. It's great.
Well, very much appreciated. Yeah, okay, and enjoy. As I said, enjoy the rest of it now for the winter that's ahead.
Thank you.
And indeed the Munster. Okay, thanks, ladies.
Thanks, ladies.
Okay, yeah, brilliant discussion there, Matt.
Two of the finest ambassadors for women's sport that this county has produced.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. You know,
in both codes. In both
codes, they are absolutely fantastic, and they're pioneers. You know, as to how they go about their business. Absolutely fantastic. Sheila's playing career is over. She has seamlessly moved into management.
Yeah, coaching and management. Yeah, giving loads of time back.
There's a good few years left in Niamh yet.
Yeah,
because we of course Niamh won an All Ireland with Limerick in 2018, ladies football. Sheila won an All Ireland with Limerick in 2014, intermediate Camogie.
Yeah.
You know, and we saw the impact. I don't know if you were in Mick Neville Park this year when Limerick senior Camogie team beat Wexford. And
no, I missed that league game. Yeah, the last league game, wasn't it? Yeah.
Came from behind to beat Wexford. The impact that Niamh Ryan made on that particular day when she came off the bench was simply phenomenal. It turned the game.
Yeah.
But just before we go away from it, Tom, I would like to congratulate Camogie GAA Club.
Yeah.
For the manner in which they hosted the games last Sunday. They let nothing to chance. And whatever traffic congestion that was down towards the street, it was outside of their control, because when you came to the ground, everything was organised to a T. Parking was maximised to a T, and the hospitality is second to none. I love going to Camogie because of the manner in which the games are organised, and like, you know, they contributed in a big way last Sunday to the occasion that was there, and looking forward to Saturday now and to the senior and intermediate Camogie finals. Tom, there was another point that I missed actually when we were talking about hurling, and you just touched on it actually. We have been critical here, you and I mea culpa more than you, Tom.
I think, but
of the scheduling of games, particularly the night that there were the 6 senior football games, and I wasn't a happy camper when the 6 senior hurling games were on in the final week. But I have got to say that the way that the county board have spaced out the quarterfinals and now the semi-finals, it's giving an absolute the best opportunity possible to people to see the games. You know. Yeah. And whilst I have been critical of them in the past, I congratulate them on this. You know, it's only fair that, you know, if you're critical of something, when something is done right, you acknowledge it. And I think nobody can complain with the way the quarterfinals were spaced out and the semi-finals.
Yeah, the only thing I would say,
you know, I have people saying, why are so many fixtures on together? Like, we're in the middle of October. We have deadlines to meet in the Munster Championship. We have a split season. That's why so many games are on. It's totally outside of Limerick's control.
Yeah.
We have to meet deadlines. What do we want? To be like Waterford and Tipperary, who on a number of occasions failed to fulfil championships in the Munster Championship, Munster Club Championships. Do we want that?
No.
We don't.
The only thing I would say is that hopefully the game on Sunday, the first one, doesn't go to extra time. It would probably mean that people who are inclined to attend both probably would preclude them from doing so if it went to extra time and beyond. But look, that's
helicopters.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, mine's just in for the service now this week, so it should be good by Sunday. Sorry, we did touch on the fact it was an intermediate final. We didn't extend our congratulations to Mungret St. Paul's.
Talking about that, Tom, it was a totally enjoyable game, absolutely, and
10 points to 9, wasn't it?
10 points to 9, and it was Grania McKenna, the former Monaghan player. She transferred from St. Ailbe's this year to Mungret St. Paul's.
Lined out at centre forward, I believe, did she?
Centre forward, I think she got 5 points. She ended up with 5 points. That was half their tally, but she was very, very, very good. But I suppose the start of the day had to be Carol Bateman in a tight game such as we had. She made 2 absolutely stunning saves, and she was accorded the man of the match, the player of the match, excuse me, after the game, and she was a worthy winner of it, just as Mairead Kavanagh got the player of the match in the senior game. Mairead had a very, very good game. Ballylanders had clawed their way back into it, closed the gap to a point about 10 minutes into the second half, and Mairead kicked 3 points in a row, which was absolutely crucial, because come at the hour, come at the woman, and Mairead delivered. And but believe it or not, Tom, there was no score for 16 minutes of the second half after half time.
Right.
But it wasn't one bit boring. You say that scores provide the entertainment and the scores we want to see. But the football was flowing from end to end. And it was during that time that Carol Bateman made an absolutely stunning save altogether from Laura Boyle. And I think the sides were they were level at that stage. And had that goal gone in, the Kenny would have been a goal up.
Yeah, a big lead in a game like that.
They would be very, very hard to dislodge from the ascendancy at that stage. But Tom, it was a fantastic game, 2 fantastic games of football. But of course, the Lord, was looking down on us all, because it's in beautiful sunshine. It was hard to believe that we were in the same country as we were on Saturday, as you and I were on Saturday.
Yeah, I know. I went to the hurling game on Sunday in Bruff, nearly in a t-shirt, and I tell you, we needed about 10 coats the day before in Kilfinnan, which is only a short distance up the road. But what a difference a day makes. Well, I suppose again we must reiterate congratulations to St. Ailbe's and Mungret St. Paul's after, I suppose, a number of near misses in both club circumstances. They have finally reached the promised land in terms of winning the senior and intermediate titles last weekend. Okay, Matt, I think we've covered plenty there in the last hour or so. We must again reiterate our thanks to Sheila and Niamh for joining us. A great discussion on all things ladies football and indeed Camogie, and a little bit of integration talk thrown in there. So
and we're looking forward to Cappamore on Sunday. And as I said, for logistical reasons, for anybody that's going out to Cappamore, the intermediate game is now at 1:15.
Yeah, Saturday now. This is
Saturday, not Sunday. It's at 1:15.
Yeah, sorry, that's Croke Kilfinny against Granagh
Ballingarry. That's too low time, but the senior game is still penciled in for 4:00. And also at the weekend, you've got the senior B final. Now, Camogie, for some reason, and I asked the question, didn't get an answer. They don't go for the senior championship; they go for the senior cup, and instead of the B championship, it's the senior plate.
That would have been different.
No faster, Tom. But in Templeton on Sunday morning at 11 a.m., the plate final is on between Adair and Killeedy. And the relegation final is on also on Saturday. On Sunday. The time at the moment escapes me, but it is featuring Crocora and Monaleen. Now, Monaleen were promoted this year. This is their first year at senior. Crocora only stayed up by beating Granabellangary last year in the relegation final, won 8 to 10 points.
Yeah.
So they're going to the well again. But Tom, Ballylander's senior footballers went to the well 3 times.
I think this is their. Am I right to say this is their 3rd final in a row relegation? I think they played the Piercing, I believe, in a delayed one the year before. They actually played 2. They played 2 in a calendar year, if I'm not mistaken. And this is their 3rd one, so they'll be hoping that it is indeed 3rd time lucky as well, having won the previous 2. Okay, we've covered plenty there. Yeah. So Saturday, myself and Matt will be out and about. Matt will be at the Camogie. I'll be in Premier Intermediate hurling, and then on Sunday we'll reunite for the 2 senior hurling, I believe. So we'll have it all covered for you on Treaty Talk ahead of next week. We'll be talking football next week, but it's hurling and Camogie that is at the business end this week.
And we'll be looking back on hurling, hopefully 2 cracking semi-finals and 2 cracking intermediate semi-finals and 2 cracking Premier Intermediate and intermediate semi-finals. The intermediate semi-finals are Brewery and Maru Bohar. Just to recall that the Brewery in the last round of the group phase beat Maru Bohar, and the other semi-final is between Fiohana. This is the Fiohana that diced with relegation for twice in the last 3 years and only stayed up with a penalty shootout against Knockaderry last year, and they're facing Croke Kilfinney, who are bidding to get into the final for the 4th year in a row.
Yeah, plenty of narrative so to come out of those as well. We'll have it all for you next week. We'll know all the county finalists across the hurling grades, and we'll know the Camogie winners in both senior B and indeed in the intermediate deciders. Okay, Matt, thanks as ever for your time and your discussion there. We'll talk to you during the week.